Excerpts on the Swan by Eleazar Harash, translated by Ruah Ezekiel, narrated by Daniel King. 6th of the 9th, 2016. The Swan, third idea for contemplation. The swan is an ethereal being. It is a voice of the ethereal and a being of the sun. The ancient Egyptians said, "The swan moves as immortality, quietly, lightly, absorbedly, as an ancient ship." From here comes the expression, "Divine things are swans," i.e., quiet things. Not every being can wear the white colour, of course. There are black swans too. The white colour, in its pure meaning, is realization. This is another way of the swan, unlike the black swan. And the Master tells, when God created Adam, he sent some of the birds to make a statement about Adam. First, he sent the jackdaw. It spat on Adam and passed by him without saying a word. This is why, namely, the jackdaw wears a black garment until this day. After it, God sent the crow, so it can make a remark. When it passed by Adam, the crow closed its eyes and said, "Nothing special." It did not even see that the jackdaw spat on Adam. Finally, God sent the swan, so it can make a remark. When it passed by man, the swan noticed that someone spat on him, stopped carefully and cleaned up the spit. When he saw the deed of the swan, God said to it, "Because you did one nice deed, I shall give you a white garment." The garment is white when a being has a true understanding of things, when it has sacred knowledge. I will explain. The colour white is not in the mind, nor in the garment. It is a quality of the soul. The swan's deed towards Adam was white, white as light, and so it earned itself the colour white. It was touched by whiteness. Of course, there are black swans too, but they have mixed their actions with the mind, and so they will learn for a long time. Very beautiful souls gaze within the swan, who sometimes enter inside. Namely, these souls move gracefully and spiritually. Not the swans themselves, but these souls, who have a very nice feeling of beauty. These souls, swans, are like an adornment for the water. According to the Taoists, the swan is a being, radiated from peace and from speechlessness. According to the Toltecs, the swan is a soul with a white fragrance. The Kabbalists say, swans carry something of the rejoicing of light. The Egyptians say, the swan is a bearer of the secret knowledge. The Toltecs again say, the swan is beautiful because it has an old ability to hear the truth. Sufis say, the swan moves as a sun. Zen says, the swan was born through a spiritual touch. And Sufis also say, to gaze at the swan, this is to gaze at something from paradise. The swan symbolizes soulful beauty. the beauty itself of the soul. Among the beings, the swan is as a flower. It carries within itself something of the heavenly state of the soul. When the swan dies, in the past, the initiates, I am not speaking of the scientists, they cannot hear such a thing. But when the swan dies, in it music is born, an old memory, for a returning towards freedom. But this was in the past. The swans revealed themselves to the sages and the initiates, like the phoenix. We will speak of it in time. A very concealed bird. But many are the priests who directly communed with such secret beings. But this was in the past. As I said before, the initiates. Now, this barely happens at all. The message of the swan is, when you die with an awakened consciousness, with love, you reach a supreme state in your next incarnation. Another specific thing about the swan is that when there is a difficulty, it also starts to sing. It does not complain. It does not meet difficulties with some negative idea. It quietly starts to sing things to itself. It gathers power in order to deal with things. It, the swan, has lost death within itself. It has outgrown it. Through this music, through this approach. And in the end, I will tell you something. I have spoken to you before about dolphins. I will add a bit. Often, at the seaside, many people who have drowned, the so-called drowned ones, are cast out by the water in the morning, and people say the water brought them out. But the Master says, no, the dolphins bring them out to the shore. Why? Because another time I will explain in more detail how it happened in Atlantis, how the dolphins saw for the first time the secret of the water. In the first race of Atlantis, and they were in awe. They desired that they become dolphins, and God turned them, and since then they are called sea people. But here I only want to say that the dolphins, because they love people a lot, they love the human form, they love the soul of the person, and they bring the drowned ones out to the shore so that people can bury them. From Aphorisms of the Phoenix, from an unpublished book by Eleazar Harash. The phoenix was created from a complete fire, and the swan and the falcon from a partial fire. The swan is soul, the phoenix is spirit. Both the falcon and the swan emanate traces of regality, but Benno emanates divinity. The swan is the beauty of the sunrise. The phoenix is the secrecy of the dawn. From Sentences, the first Proto-Elder. The swan has a white striving, the falcon has flight, and the phoenix has the proto-inspiration. The first Proto-Elder, Ava Romon.